Sorry? Okay. So this is a management network port group. The first one is VM network port group. Now VM network port group, only just like the name says, VM network. This is only for VMs. So meaning, no matter how many VMs you have, these VMs and their cards, so they all have network cards, they are all connected only to this port group. These VMs will not be connected on a management network port group, because this port group is only for network, via virtual network management purposes. Yes?
Okay, with these ports, are they assigned for each ESXi 100%, or you can still divide these ports into like one port per connection?
Yes, one port per connection. Yes.
One port per connection. You cannot divide it like, you know. Like
One port.
Yeah, one port you can, like, you know, you can do have connection on one ESXi and the other one.
No. So first of all, let me understand the
Like a
question.
dedicated
Yes,
port.
yes. So one is, even in physical switches, one port is dedicated to one machine or one switch. It's exactly the same case. You cannot take this port and also connect to this switch and no.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, but like, you know, this question came into my mind.
Yes.
Like before these Wi-Fi routers, we used to have those switches on the internet where you can connect this and then you can take out another one and hook it up to your laptop manually or a computer manually and hook it up to another computer with another cable. You understand? Like one input port,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then 2 or 4 coming out. Well, like even in the routers nowadays, regular routers, you get one input and then you have 4 outputs too. for
Oh
one
yes,
cable
but those
to
are
the-
4 ports on the router.
Okay.
Those are 4 separate ports on a router. Ports are always separate. Unlike coaxial network, the long time back, coaxial network is almost gone, where you have to have one cable moving and all computers are connected to one cable. So, but in this Ethernet network, we have dedicated one port for one. Yes. So to answer your question simply, don't go into huge deep down. It is one port for each machine, and each port, this port is for this switch only. And then the second switch has a second ESXi host has his own switches, own port groups, own router. Guys, so far, how many components we have seen? Let's look at it one more time. ESXi host has a virtual standard switch.
Yeah.
Virtual standard switch.
What's your sense rate?
Is this right?
It's
Because
right.
there was a earthquake on this.
No, everything okay.
Okay, I mean this. Okay. So here,
Absolutely okay.
look at this here. So where each ESXi host has by default one virtual standard switch. Number one virtual standard switch. Each virtual switch has 2 port groups by default, and you can create many port groups inside. But by default, it has 2 port groups. That port group, first one is known as VM network port group, and second port group is known as management network port group. The function of this port group is only to provide ports to VMs. These ports will not be used for any management purposes. Whereas this port group has a management port. Now, what is meant by a management? Management is the way we connect from the vSphere client to manage ESXi host. This is through a management port. If a management port group goes down, then you will not be able to connect to ESXi host. So basically, this is a management network port group, and these are known as VM port group. And these ports inside a VM port group are known as VM ports. So these are VM ports. And the ports inside management port group is known as VM kernel ports. So ports inside our management network port group is known as VM kernel port. And before writing anything, let's see the big picture. The big picture is that on each ESXi host you have a network card. Do we understand
Yeah,
that?
network card, yeah.
We all know that there is a network card on each ESXi host, which is basically this one.
Yeah, and I
So
see.
and where you have your IP address. Basically, this network card is connected to a VM kernel or a management port from a VM management network. So management network port group has one port, and this one port is known as VM kernel port. VM kernel port. And the main function of this VM kernel port is for us to connect to ESXi host and configure it.
So it's connected by default, right?
By default. It is connected
So-
by default, I mean, with this network card, basically, this is our vSphere client. What is this? vSphere client. What is the main function of vSphere client? To manage ESXi.
Yes.
Basically, you are going from your vSphere client to your network card and outside, and then it goes to this network card and connected to management port inside. If management port goes down, if this port goes down, then you won't be able to connect to ESXi host. Basically, the management port's function is for us to get to manage the ESXi host. That's and management port is also used for vCenter, because ESXi host is added to vCenter. Through a management port, it is connected. Now, one more time, I'll start from basics.
Sir,
Yes.
VM have hardware information of our management. That's it. Because our kernel is having the hardware information of our Windows.
That is a little different. In VMware, as you can see, this is my switch, this is my virtual switch, and where am I connected? So who am I connected to? 50. I'm connected to the host 50, and from here I'm going to manage and then networking, and I'm inside virtual switches, and I'm connected to virtual switch, and here it shows us the virtual switch.
Yeah.
And if you closely look at this virtual switch, it looks like that. So first of all, it has two dividings. So first of all, you see this is a physical network card, which is basically this card.
VM.
So this is a physical network card, which is basically this card, and then this gray area is all a virtual switch here. Now on this switch, it has two groups. So this is group of port 1, which is blue one, which is this, and you can see what is the name of the port group? VM network port group.
Yeah.
So this is VM network port group, and the second network port group is known as management port group, and it has one port that is known as VM kernel port. Main function of that VM, and you see the IP address is assigned, that 50 IP address is basically assigned to a VM kernel port. So the IP address that you see right here on this card is basically the IP address of this port.
So that's when it have information of our IP that
Yes,
we are
yes,
giving you. But virtual switch only management switch only for configuration, but which configuration lies inside the VM kernel.
Inside a VM kernel port. Exactly. That's
is
true.
it.
That is true. Yes,
Sir,
question?
there is two kind of ports, right? One is the VM network port and group, and one is the management network port.
Yes.
Is there any link interlink in between, or those separate different?
Those are two separate different ports. Yes.
Operations.
Those are two separate different ports. Now this is a physical network card. This is my physical NIC on a ESXi host. This card connects to a management port, which is known as a VM kernel port. Next time if somebody asks you, what is a VM kernel port? So VM kernel port is basically a management port to which a physical network card is connected to, and we are managing the complete ESXi host. And basically this card from outside, this card to outside is connected to a physical switch. Now physical switch is sitting right here. So this is a physical switch.
As per the diagram, management network IP, which is a .50,
Yes.
same as the physical network card IP, right?
Yes. So now here you're gonna learn something new. Here you're gonna learn something new about ESXi environment, guys.
Yeah.
We're about to learn something what?
New.
We're about to learn something new, and we need to have it on our fingertips. And
Good.
that is in Windows environment, in Windows servers. In Windows servers,
In Windows servers.
in Windows environment, in Windows 7, Windows 8 server, IP address is always assigned to who, man? IP address is always assigned to no. IP address is not assigned to
Assigned
who,
for a
man?
network card.
IP address is always assigned to a network card, guys.
That's it.
IP address is always assigned to a network card. But guys, in ESXi host, now remember that, in ESXi host, IP address is always assigned to a management port. IP address is assigned to a management port, and there is no network, there is no IP address on a network card. So one more time, I'm gonna say this, because we need to understand this on.
There is no network IP, how they communicate?
Yes. So guys, and I'm going to clear that in a moment. But first, let's understand that. IP addresses is always assigned to who?
Management port.
Management port. What is the name of the management port?
VM kernel.
VM kernel port. So IP address is always assigned to a VM kernel port, which is, you can see, it has a VM kernel port and it has the IP address right here. But there is no IP address on a physical network card. You see, if I go here, there is no IP address on a physical adapter, which is this one. Then your next question is, what is the function of this physical adapter? Guys, this physical adapter is known as a uplink. This is just a uplink. This is just known as a uplink. So here I'm going to use a word called uplink. Uplink's main function is to connect the ESXi host to the physical environment. What? Okay. So uplink. So there is uplink, and I have to write few definitions here. So we have a main. And I'm going to come back to uplink, and let me write few others. But before writing, do we understand? Now, before I start writing more, let's actually try understanding this diagram one more time. Now, right here, how many components do we see here? We see a VM. I do see a VM. So this is a VM, and then VMs have network cards. So these are virtual network cards on each VM. Number 2. And then number 3, we do see a virtual switch. This is a virtual switch, number 3. And then we do see port groups, number 4. So we have 2 port groups. One port group is known as VM network port group, which is this one. And second port group is known as management network port group, which is number 5. So 5 components we know. And then each port group has its own ports. So VM network port group has VM ports. It is only for VMs.
Yeah.
Whereas management network port group has one port by default, but you can create more ports, and one port that is known as VM kernel port group. So number 6 is what? VM kernel port group. Guys, we need to understand this in this. And 7th, we understood that we have a physical card, and that is known as a uplink. Uplink is just a card that connects 2 networks together. That is correct. Now, if you on all switches, on all physical switches, guys, when you connect 2 switches together, there is always one uplink between the 2 switches. So there is always one uplink. So there will be one port dedicated just for uplink. Let me see if they have a dedicated uplink port. Yes. On this one, there is no. But if you look at this other switch, you see all of them are white, and here is a gray. It starts gray. These are 2 uplink ports for this switch. So whenever you need to connect this switch with other switches, you would use this port and this. You would connect like this. So then this is just an uplink port, and this is what this